Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session here on Global Azure. Today, we are going to have a interesting session about FinOps or unlocking the cloud savings with lessons learned from the field. We have Jason Keplinger here in this session with us. He's CTO at TRX Solutions LLC, and he will bring some interesting stories, right, from the customers without identifying them, of course, in terms of what we learned and where are the trends. Again, anything, Jason, you would like to mention before we kick off the session?
Now, I'm very excited to get through this. It's going to be a very thought-provoking discussion around FinOps and where we can find financial accountability, especially in this environment and within the government right now too, and also meet cloud innovation with that fiscal responsibility and accountability. So I'm ready to dive into it and talk about how we can get smarter about cost management with our customers.
Great. Yeah. So tune in, everyone. Let's kick this session. So we already made introductions of Jason Keplinger. Here's a small kind of info if you would like to read. And this is a little bit information about myself. I'm Elhan, and happy to present this session to you with Jason together. And what we are going to cover today is, of course, if you are new to the FinOps, you don't know what it is, where to start and why, we'll start there. And then we'll continue with house of FinOps, how things are done on FinOps and why they are done this certain way and what is the benefit to customers. Then we dive into a more concrete, so to speak, implementations and practical stuff in FinOps. This time we are going to talk about Microsoft Azure as a CSP, and then we'll look into AI agents. We can't talk about anything today without addressing the elephant in the room, which is the AI, right? So there's
Yes.
a big
Yes.
demand not just from commercial but also from government counterparts, and Jason will talk more into that, how T-Rex is actually tackling those issues and bringing the innovation to our customers across the board. And then, we'll have the demos. This time, our demo will include not just the FinOps piece of CSP, but also certain things that you can use with AI agents uh, to get better insights without, spending ton of time in order to kind of unveil those details.
That's what I love about all your presentations too, is getting a demo in there too. It's always good to see the system.
Yes, demo makes things kind of happy, and with demo it can go both way. I hope today my
Yeah.
Microsoft subscription will work fine and services will not complain, because I'll be honest with you, a couple days ago I was trying to have another session recorded using the Teams and my internet went out, like Verizon just hung up on me, and so that's why I say hopefully, today things will go as planned.
It's yeah, it's either the internet or a dog
Yes,
barking in your background.
correct.
One of the two.
That's true. Yes. So that's why I say, like, hopefully we can do it together. Yeah. So let's start it from here. Thank you, Jason. Here's please go ahead about Tech Solutions.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about T-Rex Solutions, with which both Elhan and I are part of, and excited to be part of too. Is it's a mid-tier company. We have over 25 years of experience in the GovCon space. T-Rex is really in place to modernize and secure critical federal IT systems, and that's really what we do. We helped, part of our track record is we included the 2020 census. If you did your census online, we helped develop that system and put that in place. We also have done a lot of work around DoD systems, especially health records and the education grant platform. Especially on the census, we'll talk a little bit about some of the cost savings that we've had there. Several $1 million worth of cost spend reductions as far as our use of FinOps within that area. We deliver secure, reliable solutions and customer experience, healthcare IT, and IT engineering solutions across the DoD, intelligence, and civil agencies. On the right-hand side, which you're going to see there at the bottom, is you'll see that we're a top-tier partner on several large cloud providers, with relationships that not only give us deep insight into those platforms, but also unlock exclusive opportunities for us to do cost optimization and cost savings. And that's really what we're talking about here is cost savings and cost optimization. So let's go on to the next slide and let's talk a little bit about how we dive into unlocking cloud savings with FinOps. So why is this important? Is usually what you have to say. Why is this important to us up front? Well, one is that you get variable cost associated with cloud. So cloud is no longer, it's more flexible, it's pay as you go pricing, and you can reduce over provisioning over time and waste, not what you've seen in your classical on-prem environment. We also have immediate procurement of resources, which means you don't have to wait those long periods of time in order to get resources on board. You can provision them instantly, accelerate deployments and innovation overall. Third is really the micro allocation of cost. Granular cost tracking, which provides us that ability to really see details and insights into precision cost structures and how we can precisely cost control our environments. So what is FinOps? FinOps is really a framework, and we're going to talk a lot about that throughout this presentation, Elhan and I both, about the framework, the principles around that framework. But in general, what it helps us do is unlock deep cost savings with our financial teams. First is collaboration and optimization, enabling our teamwork, enables teamwork and resource efficiency. So you can use those resources across multiple teams, be able to also see the data across multiple teams and see the cost data. It also allows us to see accountability and cost visibility, provides clear insight into spending and how it's being spent, where it's being spent, and then real-time decision-making, which allows us to support quick and informed decisions and choices. This is one of the key things is that data is always available and allows us to look at it and be able to make choices of how we spend our money and how we can change how we spend our money. Let's go on to the next chart. I'm going to talk a little bit. Oh, sorry, I forgot two other things here. Really was standardization. If you want to go back, I skipped the standardization, which
Yes.
is key here too. Is standardization is key in a lot of these environments. Ensuring us to allow us to standardize the process. One of the key things that we talk about a lot with our customers is there's this cloud providers standardization called Focus, and that allows us to really take data from multiple cloud providers and pull it all into one environment, one FinOps cloud. So it's a standardization across clouds as far as the cost data is concerned. And then finally is that governance. So you need standardization so you can get governance too, and governance, they kind of go hand in hand, allowing us to maintain control and compliance environment.
Okay, great.
Going to the next
Yes,
slide.
thank you. Yes. So I'll just mention about the focus something. Thank you for bringing that, Jason. No, it's a cloud specific and track of the cost and usage of the resources, which is not just specific cloud solution provider, but this is a framework that Microsoft Azure, AWS, and other cloud service providers are using, which makes the standardization of the terminology and as well as the standardization of the collected data and metrics to be more relevant with the standards where if the third-party providers, let's say there are different third-party provider organizations that actually provide single page a single page in order to see the cost and use across the environments, not just in one CSP like in Microsoft Azure, but also in AWS, Google Cloud, and other cloud provider services. And those standardizations and framework, the one that Jason mentioned, the focus, they help to drive those type of innovations in a way that we can have much easier tools to be provided to our customers so that they can see them, transparency is there, and they understand what they use, and they can share that back with the internal customers in order to get better awareness and cost savings back to the program, back to the places where it needs to go back. Thank you.
And like you said,
yes.
that is key. Yeah, like you said, that is key to those third party tools that you can bring in to help you. And we're going to talk a little bit about AI too.
Yes.
Standardizing that data across cloud platforms allows you to really use a lot of other tools in order to help you get more optimization through your FinOps platform.
Yes, and speaking of those tools, we bring those tools to our customers, to our custom programs. Some of them are used in our Department of Education and some other agency programs. So if you really looking into bringing the transparency and spend back to your customers so that they can understand that, and plus also, build this trust by showing what's the actual spend and how, as an organization, you are actually helping them to reduce the cost and waste. That's, I believe, is very key. Saying that when you want to do for a multi-cloud environment, and if you look at the most of the uh, you know organizations that we are working together, mostly they are not just in one cloud, but they are in multiple clouds. Yes, thank you. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, that's a good lead into this too, is now let's explore how we chart a clear path, an actionable path to cost savings within FinOps. It's not just theory, but practical process that you can use starting day one in order to be able to move through this process of FinOps. And this is pretty standard. We do add our own twist to it. You'll see adoption in the center there, but a lot of this is pretty standard stuff that you're going to see as far as the life cycle associated with FinOps. First, starting with Inform, this is awareness, raises your visibility into your cloud usage, your costs. So knowing where you stand at first is kind of that first Inform bubble there. It also looks at allocation. How do you assign costs to the appropriate teams and projects? And there's several ways of doing allocation, which I'll talk about too. The second one is optimization, which is efficiency. Trying to, now that you know where you stand, you know how you're allocating your costs, you look at the efficiency across that, focused on resource utilization and reducing waste. So now we know where we stand. Now we're plotting our course to how we reduce waste and understanding our utilization of those resources and savings, aiming achieving cost reductions through smarter resource management. Are we over allocating resources to certain applications? Now we're able to monitor them, figure out if we have those resources over allocated. In some cases, we're not using all the resources we've allocated, and we can reduce those and save some cost, or we can ramp them up when needed, only when needed, especially on the when the workload is heavy on that application. The
Yeah.
third area is
Mhm.
operations, and that's governance. We're looking at ensuring the consistent management, compliance of cloud resources, and accountability, promoting financial responsibility and tracking the usage of those, and providing that out, not just our financial team, but across the team. So everybody's looking at this data in order to try to figure out how we can save money over time, because it's not just the financial team, it's not just the FinOps team, it's not just the engineers. You need the data for everybody so they can look across it and make sure that they understand what it is and figure out ways of saving money too.
Yes.
The fourth thing is that bubble in the middle, which is adoption. And this is one of our key things that we see across all programs. It's really doing education and training. Like I talked about, everybody needs to know what their cloud looks like as far as their footprint and their FinOps is concerned. So this is training everybody on understanding FinOps practices, their benefits, and fostering cost-conscious culture across the organization. We're also looking at collaboration and communication, encouraging cross-functional collaboration across the financial team, the operations team, the engineering team to align on goals and drive down cost. And then, of course, continuous improvement, making sure that everybody's got that mindset of continuous improvement, reviewing and refining processes to make sure that we can reduce costs over time, and then looking at the what remains as far as effective and adapting and evolving to a cloud environment versus staying in that mindset of a on-prem environment. So
Yes.
where do we? Oh, go ahead,
Yes,
Elhan.
go ahead. I'll just add something into that, Jason. You mentioned that the part of this FinOps approach here is that DevOps mindset, right? Meaning that The overall, if you look at the environment where your workloads are running for your customers, it's a dynamic environment. It's going to have change and things are happening there. The
Yep.
part of the FinOps that brings the strengths into this solution is that to make sure that we have these timely assessments of the environment to remove the waste, understand where the cost is actually happening, and what were the changes into environment which may increase the cost or reduce the cost. It can be in both directions. Of course, when we reduce the cost, we want to make sure it's done in a way that it doesn't harm any existing workloads and customer satisfactions, and experience is not suffering. So like making these really, I would say, pinpoint optimizations into the cloud workloads. That's the kind of main purpose of FinOps, to bring those savings and plus better utilization efficiency back to the workload owners, back to the system owners who are running those services. Back to you, please.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And like you said, it is a cycle too. It's not just you review it once and you go away from it. It's going to be a continuous evolution, and that's where it pays off to be close to the cloud providers, like we talked about earlier too, is understanding what new services come out so that you can reevaluate your current environment and understand if that new service will save you money or save you cost over time too, because their service is changing every day. It's hard to keep
Yes.
up with sometimes,
And
and that's one of the key things that you have to keep looking at over and over again within these environments.
and another point, Jason, with almost all cloud solution providers is that it's even their services, they change and they go out of the life cycle, meaning that there are expired
Yep.
services in any cloud solution provider, where as a integrator and solution provider, T-Rex is helping the customer to be ahead of the game, meaning that if there's expiration of the service, let's say on some storage accounts, that's going to happen in September 2025, we want to make sure that couple months before that, we speak with our customer, we notify them, we show what's the urgency and what's the why we want to make those changes. And plus, if there's a cost, if there's a cost related change, so that they're aware about that, plus what are the benefits they are going to get through that migration or end of life of service. Because each time when there's end of life of service, then cloud solution provider would provide you some migration paths or something that you need to change in your system if you want to run your workloads seamlessly, getting this similar type of feature. And so being ahead of that as well, helping your customers, notifying them, planning for those changes is also a very important part of FinOps, where you want to take into account the cost considerations and the time it will take to make those changes. Back to you.
Yeah. I know that's a good lead into the second half of this chart too. And I'm going to jump down to, where we usually help with our customers. Doing an assessment of your FinOps maturity, understanding where you stand, and that's pretty much where you start, is where do you stand and where do you want to go? And then identifying those gaps in between and being able to put a plan in place to get to where you want to be as far as your FinOps practice is concerned. You talked a little bit about DevSecOps. How do you make sure that FinOps is part of your DevSecOps platform and pipeline? Making sure this is an integral part of that, so that as you move through the process, you're not just waiting till production to make those changes. And Elhan talked about it too. The changes we're talking about, you want to make in lower level environments, so you can flow them through, test them out, and make sure that the performance of your system is not impacted by the changes we're talking about from a FinOps perspective. We can help accelerate that journey. If you're already on the journey for FinOps, we can help accelerate that journey. And then also optimize your current cloud and data center environments, coming in and figuring out where you might have issues, or where you might have additional costs that you may not need right now as far as your environment is concerned. I'll turn
Great.
it back over to Elhan after this.
Thank you. Let's move forward here to the next slide, which is FinOps in Azure. So we talked about FinOps in what's and whys, and how T-Rex is helping the customers and value that we are bringing into day-to-day operations. But in addition to that, on Azure, the FinOps principles are also applied If you look at the framework, they are applied similarly. And we have specific services that are helping the Microsoft Azure environment to bring those FinOps tools in a way that customers and can get the benefit. So first of all, the part of the things that Jason already mentioned, FinOps in Azure also brings accountability, making sure that system owners understand that where the spend happens, what are the resources, and what to expect in long term. In addition to that, it brings the visibility into spend, seeing where the actual funds are spent, what are the workloads that are utilized and have the most spend, or is there a way to optimize them or maybe reduce, because there isn't much there in certain times you may get more workload demand, in others you may get less. So there's also this balance of seamlessly increasing or decreasing the load of the or capabilities of your workloads to make sure that customer experience is uh, going well and they are not complaining. Next thing is cost management, right? So if FinOps in Azure, you get the tools like you have tools to analyze the cost. I'm going to share and show them in the demo. It's pretty versatile in terms of you get some baked in kind of reports that you can use, and you can also create your own. In terms of FinOps, in order to strengthen that and make sure that you can apply automation in governing your resources, you can also use the Azure policy. And there's a similar demo that I did with Jason a few months ago on a Festive Tech calendar event. I'm going to share the link to that so you can go and watch about that. Then, of course, in order to be able to be providing effective FinOps to our customers, we need to have in place monitoring and tracking. And metrics and logs are play a very crucial role in that, so that we can gather the information and we can act upon that information to help our customers. And finally, one of the main goals of FinOps in Azure is to provide the cost optimization. And by cost optimization, it's not always about reducing the cost. Sometimes it's adding this efficiency in a way that all the spend that happens on the environment, it actually helps to bring the value to the customer. Meaning that sometimes you may have workloads which are underpowered, right? At that point, you want to make sure that the system owners are aware about that, they understand it, and they can take an action to make that experience better. Or in other instances, there might be certain resources which have been provisioned for, let's say, for POC, and then for some reason certain teams forgot to deprovision them. Then again, speaking with the owners of that system, giving that detailed information based on logs and monitoring, logs and metrics that we collect, they can make this informed decision. Do they still want to run them, or they want to remove those extra resources because they are due for the decommissioning? So all these things really
And
help. Yes,
I
back to you.
I was going to mention that too, is Elhan, that you brought up the key point that we don't put it out here as a bullet, but part of that governance is also the security side of things too. FinOps can help your security too, because like you said, assets or resources that have been provisioned that people are allowing to continue to run, but may have not spun them down when they needed to. In some cases, you can see where storage is detached, and they may leave the storage detached, but have spun down, have brought down everything else in that environment. So FinOps helps you identify some of those things. If your security team probably will already identify them, but you may be able to catch them fairly fast too, so that you're not spending money on things that are resources that are no longer needed.
Yes, and that also brings a very good example that we went through with one of our customers, where we're analyzing the log analytic workspace and spent on the storage that's used for the backups. Then we found that for lower environment like the dev and test environment, a geo-redundant storage has been used. And then we analyzed all these costs that get accumulated over time, we found that just for that lower environment, because it was geo-redundant, meaning there was extra copies and everything, customer was spending 54,000 a month. Then we brought that, we worked on scripting and making sure that we can revert back to local redundant storage, which is much, much cheaper and doesn't come with those extra redundancies that geo-redundant solution provides. And plus, we also implemented lifecycle storage management in a way that if for lower environments, there's no point to keep the data for 1 year, right? So at most, maybe a month, 7 days is more than enough. So defining those, places where you can add, where you can remove or reconfigure the resources in a way that they are actually used purposefully. That's also part of this FinOps, part of the services that TRX Solutions is bringing to the customers. Back to you, Jason.
Oh,
All
great
right.
point.
Yes. So if you move forward here, of course, we kind of mentioned it in the beginning a little bit, but now it's the time to talk AI, right? So AI, generative AI, its capabilities, we are not going to talk about it. Everybody heard about it. You know who is the elephant in the room, but how it is related to the FinOps, right? What are the relationship? Uh, how they bring this um, FinOps framework into the next level. That's what we are going to talk about. So first of all, it's part of it is AI agents. So AI agents are anonymous systems that perceive, decide, and act in dynamic environments. And those AI agents can handle repetitive, data-intensive FinOps tasks with minimal human input. Um, and there are some key FinOps challenges that AI agents are helping, like detecting this unpredictable cloud spend that Jason mentioned in the beginning. Then how we can define and find out as soon as possible the resource waste and over provisioning. It also helps with those kind of repetitive task of creating the reporting and tagging, or identifying the inconsistent tagging policies across the resources. And then whenever you have the data, uh, it can help with forecasting and budgeting those spend across the data. And there are many, many other, use cases that some of them are here, like policy enforcements via agents and cost optimizations. But in the nutshell, AI agents are there, your assistant, I would say, your assistant that's helping you to see certain things which as a human you may skip. It may skip from your eyes, or you may find it maybe, but you would have to spend um, hundreds of hours in order to come to the same conclusion, because it's all driven by data, it's all driven by the metrics. But the most important thing is for your AI agents to be that productive. Again, you need to enable metrics, you need to enable the logs so that your AI agents can act on information that's specifically collected for your environment. That's really key point. Without data, no matter what type of AI agent you can bring into the system, they wouldn't be able to do effective job in predicting and helping you in identifying the places where you want to drive the attention of your customers in order to bring the cost savings and efficiencies.
Yeah, and
Yes, back to you.
I did want to mention that you mentioned it there, auto tagging resources. I know that is one of the critical things. You and I have talked about that. I think in our last discussion, we talked about that quite a bit. Is tagging is so important to your framework as far as FinOps is concerned, and making sure that the costs are allocated to the correct places. So having an AI agent that's able to help you identify and also auto tag a lot of those resources, which in a lot of cases we build into our DevSecOps platform, is making sure that tagging is part of that DevSecOps platform, but ensuring that that tagging is correct and ensuring that the cost is being allocated to the right place is very critical to your FinOps process, because if you can't allocate the costs, it becomes very hard in order to figure out what resources need to be reduced or optimized if you can't figure out where they're actually supposed to be allocated to. So huge thing here. And I know the other thing that you're going to show in I think in the demo too is that autonomous FinOps assistant, being able to ask questions of of either Copilot or one of your AI assistants in order to
Yes.
figure out, is there a spike in this application during a certain period of time? Are we over allocated or under allocated on this resource? You can ask me questions in order to figure out if there's something we can optimize in that specific area.
Right. Yep. So yeah, because Jason already made the introduction or to the next slide demos. So without any audio, I'm going to switch there. So in the demo here, we are going to look at a couple of things. So before actually, going through each of them, I want to mention our previous session, and I will share the link here. Let me see if I can bring it. Just a second. No, not this one. I need to bring the right. Okay, it's here probably. No, not this one. So too many windows here. So we in our again, couple months ago, we had this FinOps, Cloud FinOps with demos in Azure, where we had this festive theme with Santa and festive tech calendar. So some of these demos are already there. I strongly recommend you to go and watch this. This is again like the called FinOps in Azure. If you go to the GitHub, it's also located under the GitHub repo here. You would find that some of these things that we mentioned here are there, but today we are going to focus a bit more on our demo on AI part of it, not just the FinOps tools in Azure, but AI part of it, how you can use the built-in Copilot agent there can help you, and some useful ways how you can interact with Copilot. So that said, because our demo here says that, let me bring that slide again. Our demo says here that we should show cost management, smart views, customizable views, spend by group and tax, budget alerts, and then finance with Copilot. So I'm going to go through them a bit faster so that it's not a repetition, but so that you know. So now I'm going to switch to to the uh, to this Azure subscription that I have here in the test environment that I have. So the view that we see here is I have one of the subscription chosen, and then I have here view under the cost and management, I have cost analysis. And in order to come to this view, it will give you some good idea in terms of for the last few months, what was the spend, and what are the actually resource types that cost you the most. So this kind of view into that. Of course, you can go ahead and change the time period that you want to see, and you can customize and just look at the last month or last invoice. So here we see that it's covering 2 months on my case, and I have a lot of spend on server farms where it's part of the compute actually on application service plan because I'm running a site on this subscription. That's why I have a spend there. Then I see that I have for the disks that I'm utilizing, there's also some spend happening there. The third one is the public IP addresses because they need to have them. But anyway, so before going here with the charts and everything and look into that, I want to switch into the cost analysis. So whenever you go to the cost management tab here, if you come and type cost management, you will get to see this, this icon that you can click on, and then you'll end up here on this page. And under reporting and analytics, over here on the left side, you will see that you have cost analysis and experts, and under monitoring, you have additional uh, cost and spend related items that you can look into. Under the cost analysis here, let me make it a bit bigger. Yeah, we have a couple of tabs here, and you can add some more here by clicking on the right side. But before going here, the regular view that you would get is going to show you some recent views that you have been looking and checking, but I strongly recommend to check all the views so that you don't skip any of them. And here you would say you have smart views, you have some shared views for that you may create for your customers, for example, and you can have some customizable views based on your for example, cost by resource, or if you want to see some uh, accumulated costs across the environments, you can always go and look at those things. Under the smart views, I would just mention that per resource and services, you can go and always check them. But if you are working on a different set of views to bring to your customers, you can also open a new, for example, click here and select a new tab. In this case, for example, I clicked on this daily cost that we see here under customizable view. It will create a um, new tab where you can analyze the cost. Again, under each cost, once you are there, you have multiple options to slice and dice the data, which most probably that's what you want to do. You can use this grouping here. In our case, resource group name may not be the best way to look at that, and you want to maybe look at by resource type. What's the spend by resource type? And then again, we see that most of the spends again happens on that application service plan, which is server farm, and then again you have disk and everything, which is kind of makes sense because it's similar information that we saw. Then of course, when you look at this, there are different ways how you can visualize them. This is the granular view per day, but this is the stacked way, right? So you can change how you want to see it. Do you want to see as a group, or maybe you want to provide these details to your financial office because they need to report on the cost. At that point, you can also see it as a table, regular table where each cost per day per resource type is actually here in a tabular format. So it brings a really good kind of way how you can look into these things. But let's say you want to look a bit different view here. So you would like to, before actually, let me, you want to, for example, let's look at the experts. So experts is something that if you have a third party tool and you would like to expert daily spend from your environment, which is mostly it's going to be scoped to your subscription, or it can be scoped to your management group, which may have a couple subscriptions under it. Then you can set up this, cost expert here, which we did for some of our customers because there's additional tools, third-party tools that provide view across the CSPs that we are using as T-Rex, and we have partnership with different organizations. One of them is Kayan. They were known as Cloud Tamer before within the uh, area here in the United States. So anyway, so
So
you can
Elon,
do, yes, back to,
also on this, from what
yes.
I understand too, there is connectors for like Power BI or some visualization tools, correct? Is that
Yes,
correct
correct.
also?
Yes. And these data sets that you can create, they will bring that data that you would like to, as Jason mentioned, where you want to create maybe some custom reports which are not available out of the box from here, from the Azure portal. So that's the place where you want to have this cost experts set it up. Next here we have cost alerts, right? So it's all about budgeting. So which budgets you have set and uh, thresholds that you have there. Again, if you want to learn more about that, I strongly advise, I don't want to repeat myself, I strongly advise to go and check this where we talk about the budgets, we talk about setting them up and how it will work. And we also have policies, how you can set the policies for tagging and other things. Going back here again, so cost alerts, then alert rules, right? Alert rules that you want to have in place whenever you go over budget, you can always set them up. And budgets themselves are, again, I have here a, budget that's showing the progress across the $150 spend that I have here per month. So it show me where I am at the moment. We are close to the middle of the month, so it kind of looks good to me. Nothing to worry at this time. In addition to that, of course, you have some built-in tools within the Azure. Some of them are these, for example, advisors. Here, actually, I'm doing a pretty awesome job because Azure Advisor didn't find anything, meaning cost optimization is done not bad, at least for this environment. So there's no recommendations here. Um, that
Or
said,
or you
yes.
or you've taken all the actions that you need to already.
Yes, that's another part. Yes. Okay. So as you see, here you might be wondering, like what is that Copilot here? Let me actually also make it sure that you understand that in order to have access to that magical button where we call what is the Copilot, which is the AI agent type that built in by Microsoft to the Azure portal, you need to have specific roles and permissions to do that. For example, in some of the programs where we are running for our customers, it is strongly prohibited and it is actually disabled because with that tool, you also give some power, right? So do you really trust to the people to go and query the environment and get the uh, important, I would say it's sensitive data, right? Sensitive data regarding the cost or any other things. So think about twice before giving that access, or make sure that you have some type of governance. I know governance is a bad word that nobody wants to talk about, but without governance, you open yourself to a lot of issues, a lot of threats, a lot of unknown, I would say, uh, incidents that you better not to be there in that environment. You don't want to experience all those issues. So governing access to your Copilot agents and the people and roles who have access is very important, and that was something that Jason also stressed during his presentation. So without any overdue, let's say what happens when we click on that Copilot. So here, let me start from the scratch. So I'm the subscription, and I'm clicking on Copilot here. So and I get this, these suggestions, right? Restart VMs with a tag, something. So it will give me some suggestions, but I don't want to go with those suggestions. I would like to ask my own questions because we are talking about FinOps here. So let's give a question, for example, which resources make up the most of my total cost, right? So as a customer, you may get that question, and let's type it. So let's say which resources make up most of my total cost. So let's see, because we looked actually at some, let me make sure I don't have typos. We looked at some spend in the environment, right? We looked at the months. We showed that there's actually application service plan that makes the biggest spend. So let's see if what we saw is actually matching to what the Copilot agent is going to bring us. So we are asking this question now. So what happens behind the scene is that based on metrics and alerts that have been already gathered for the system, this AI agent is going to retrieve the cost data, look at it, make some determination analysis, and give us some feedback. And let's see what we see. So we got some initial response here. Looks good. Let me make sure we can see it all. Oh, here it is. I just want to expand it. So, what happened? Okay, I can. Let's see. So we have some information. So we see that here in terms of cost, here's thing. It's a load balancer demo app. So this is something. So those application service plans behind the scene, they are load balanced. So this is actually talking about the networking load balance where I have a charge here on MVP subscription 007. Okay, the reason why we are seeing this is because I'm in the wrong subscription. I'm in the subscription 007. So let's say, I would like to change the subscription. Change. Let me go back. Home. Subscriptions. Now let's say I want to go to this subscription. And let's go here. And I'm going to rewrite the question. Restart this. I think that was very important to mention that the subscription name was different than what we are. So I would say, okay, which resource make up the most of my total cost in a subscription named as, I want to be specific, and this is very important. When you have more than one subscription, you want to make sure you specify the name properly. Primary MCT Azure. Let's see what we'll get this time. So it's generating some data for us at the moment, this Copilot agent. It gives us the, this is the custo command, QQL, that's going to be used. All right, let's see what I want. Executing the query. Okay, what are the top 5 most expensive resources in my... Okay, let's see that one. It didn't give the same information as the one that we had for previous subscription, so I'm trying to have a follow-up question here to Copilot to get more details for the top 5 most expensive resources in my subscription. And this is, yes, it's actually came with these responses. In addition to that, let's say, you have the budgets, right, in your system, and you want to list your budgets. Let's say, list all my current budgets. I want to see what type of budgets I have set it up for this environment. Let's see what the Copilot say. We know that there should be at least one set it up for that one of subscriptions, one of the subscriptions, primary MCT that I was using. So it didn't actually bring it for some. So as you see, you can't 100% rely on it. That's part of the technology. You need to deal with that. And then the most important question here, right, that most of your customers may ask, how can I reduce my Azure costs, right? Because it's cost and efficiency. Let's see what will this agent smart enough to tell us something about that. Let's see.
One thing I would say too, Elhan, is that it's good that what it does provide you is the link. You can see the budget's link underneath of it too. So even if it doesn't give you an answer, it may point you in the right direction in order to try to get to the data that you're looking for.
Yes, that's true. Sometimes it's not maybe the answer that you expect from it, but you would get some guidance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can get some guidance. All right. So we got much more information here. So it's actually based on, I'm running these resources in the other subscription, but it says, okay, you can upgrade to a newer SKU of virtual machine. So that's kind of one. So top 5 recommendations came are all related to the virtual machines and virtual network that I'm running those Windows 11 operating systems, which is good, at least something. Again, I think it's good. How can I optimize my Azure resource for better performance? Let's say what's going, but usually for some of these questions, I would say is about you trying to seek some advice, right, from Azure in this case, saying how you can optimize, where I can, make it more secure, stuff like that. One of the built-in tools that you may already know is called Azure Advisor. So that thing is really helpful, and those advices, recommendations change every week. So I would highly recommend to check it at least once a week. And it's also saying here, right, so please visit Azure Advisor. So those recommendations that we see are coming from Azure Advisor. And if I click on it, let's see what happens. I'm going to close this window for now. So this is Azure Advisor. Again, for cost-wise, we are good. I need to improve some of the security stuff. Performance is fine. If I go subscriptions, let's go pinpoint the subscriptions. Let's look at this one. So here we have another recommendations, operation excellence, source code. So what I'm trying to say is that let's look at one recommendation here for Trust Launch Foundation. So this is about VMs. There's like Gen 2, Gen 1 VMs. As you know, to enable Trusted Launch, you need to have Gen 2 VM, which makes sense when I look at it. Okay, so that said, I want to come back to to the demo concept and what we tried to cover here. We looked into some cost management, some smart views, customizable views. We didn't look spend by groups and tags, but again, there's a link there for our previous session where we are already covering that with the budget alerts, and we just glimpse into Copilot that's coming with Microsoft Azure subscription. what it can provide. We saw that it's actually a good tool to explore. You would have to learn in the process how to use it more precise, so to speak. Certain information is readily available. It comes as it is. On some other queries, we saw that we have to do some additional dig by clicking on the recommendations. But nevertheless, it's provided free of charge. It is there. And this is one of the tools in your disposal that you can use to bring to get some insights from your environment to optimize it and bring more FinOps goodies back to your customer. That said, is there anything else you want to add before we kind of sum up the session today, Jason?
No, no, I think it's you covered most of what we're talking about here. I think
Mhm.
maybe on the next discussion too, we can talk about allocation. We talked about that up front. One of the tough things to do is your shared service allocation. So a lot of cases, a lot of large environments have these
Yes,
shared services,
correct.
and how do you allocate those across your spend? So figuring out, do you allocate it per the size of the environment, or is it a fee across everything? So there's multiple ways of doing allocation, and actually Azure has you saw it on the demo, is down near the bottom is an allocation tab too. So we can talk a little bit more about that in the future
Yes.
too, is how to set up your allocations, what kind of allocations are available to you so that you can handle some of those tough questions like shared services across an environment.
Yes, and in most of the government and enterprise environments, as Jason mentioned, you would have those shared services. For example, networking is part of it, right? Where you may have this hub spoke infrastructure, where the hub-related networking services are shared across the stakeholders that are using that service. In that case, this allocations is very important. Thank you, Jason. So let's see, what we covered today. So we went through why and what of FinOps, where we had this uh, really engaging discussion about where this FinOps is coming from and why should you and your customers give attention to that and get the benefit. Then we looked into House of FinOps and uh, how you can enable FinOps in your organization. And then we looked into specific implementation of the FinOps on Microsoft Azure. And then we looked into AI agents. In our case, it was a Microsoft Copilot using the Microsoft environment, Microsoft Azure environment that's running there. And then we had a bit of a demo here and there to look into the budgets, custom views, and as well as how to enable and use your Copilot within your Microsoft Azure subscription. That's it. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. It was great presenting today again with Jason
Yeah.
together with some lessons learned from the field and all this feedback that we had from our customers. Back to you, Jason.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited. I love having this discussion with you too. This is our second time, and maybe we'll have a third one too, on allocation. FinOps. What I would just say is FinOps, and we talked about this throughout. It's a continuous process. It's not the destination. It's a mindset that you have to have, and that mindset goes across all the teams, collaborating across all the teams. So embracing it now helps you in the future, helps you save money over time, and becomes more data driven across the organization. So overall, like I said, not the destination, but it is a mindset that we all have to take into account. And I appreciate the time you gave me, Elhan, too, and love having these discussions with you.
No, definitely. Thank you for agreeing to come and share your views, your vision as well with the FinOps, and as well as helping the global Azure community to upskill and get more up-to-date information from the field of FinOps and how TRX solution is tackling those day-to-day problems that we see and challenges that our customers are always sharing back with us. Thank you everyone for viewing. This
Mhm.
is going to be again shared on the YouTube channel, Cloud Marathoner. If you are watching later on, just drop a note there in the comments and we'll address them as we see them. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Thanks.